Have you ever wanted to see what Canadian aviation is like? Have you ever thought about what it would be like to see hundreds of Air Canada, Westjet, and other Canadian carriers? Have you ever wanted to see all kinds of really unique aircraft types? Today we're going to be going plane spotting at Vancouver International Airport in July of 2023. There are so many cool aircraft to see here, and I'm really excited for today's video. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started, everybody. Welcome to Vancouver International Airport, everybody. I really hope each and every one of you are excited for today's plane spotting session, as we have so many cool aircraft to take a look at here. This is my first time spotting at a large Canadian airport, and all the Air Canada and WestJet aircraft really make it such a unique experience. So again, I really hope all of you are excited for this. Here's a beautiful Air Canada 333 that I thought I'd put on the screen to start, but let's go ahead and scroll on back and begin with our arrival here at Vancouver International Airport to see all these really unique aircraft types. So there are so many really cool ones, and I really hope all of you are excited for this. So again, some of these are a little fuzzy from the window, but we'll go ahead and start here, and then we'll get to the south observation deck and get some really great shots here on this beautiful July afternoon. So I hope all of you are excited for this. Let's go ahead and get started. Here's a beautiful Air North Boeing 737-500. We're going to see a bunch of these today, and I'll talk more about them throughout the video, but Air North's a really cool airline that flies these 737 classic aircrafts, Yukon's airline in other words, so that's super cool to see. We're also going to get a really good view and close-up of the Summit BAE 146s. This one, the only places in America that you're gonna, or sorry, rather North America, that's what I meant, that you're gonna see a bunch of these 146s. So very cool aircraft here, so really sweet to see. So many unique aircraft types, and we also have plenty of Beechcraft like the one that we're on right now. There's a Pacific Coastal Saab 340. They still do fly a handful of these, which is really cool, so very awesome. We get to see this aircraft with the unique tail with the minor and the call there, so that's really awesome to see. Japan Airlines flies the Boeing 767-300 ER to a handful of cities in North America like Honolulu and also Vancouver. So that's what you're seeing here with this particular airframe taking off. And also, we just have hours worth of spotting here, so I'm not trying to rush it by any means, but there's just so much to cover. So I hope you understand why the pace we're going at is applicable. A Skylink Caravan, this is a very cool catch, along with this one right here in this navy color, which is awesome. Another Summit BAE 146, and we're going to see a bunch of Pacific Coastal Beechcraft 1900 aircraft. They're very sweet. This one has a sailboat on it. And then we start to get into our good pictures here progressively. So here's an American 737, just like home. And there's a beautiful Air Canada Boeing 777-300ER. This aircraft is in the new livery, and it's quite a nice looking livery. We are going to see quite a bit of heat distortion today, but not expecting any less here. It's really tough to get a clear day in the winter, so it's worth coming in the summer to get sun and just a little bit of distortion. There is our beautiful aircraft, the Pacific Coastal 1900 C variant. It was really cool to fly that, or a similar one that is, so definitely check out that trip report if you haven't already. And there's a all-white Pacific Coastal aircraft. These tails are really unique, so there's an eagle on that one. And now we've made it to the observation area, which sits over the fence, so it's a great spot as you see here, and we get to look at a Summit BAE 146 the whole time too, which is really cool. So there's Air North getting towed right there, which is gorgeous, and another Pacific Coastal 1900. We're going to see a bunch of those today. WestJet Saab 340 on the north side. We'll be flying one of those shortly, so stay on the lookout for that video. And another Pacific Coastal taking off right there. You can see how bad the haze is. Here is a 767 freighter right here. That's a great looking plane, and we also have a cargo jet there on the north ramp too. And there's another one facing north-south. And American Airlines Airbus A321 blasting off. You can see that the photos are definitely sharp from this vantage point right here, which is nice. Just a touch of distortion, so overall not too bad. We also will move here in a little bit as well to watch landings on the north side, because they typically take off on the north side and land on the south side, or sorry, take off on the south side, land on the north side. So that's what you're seeing this ANA do right here. So obviously you can't get very good pictures of them because of how far away that they are and distorted, like this WestJet Max, but we'll see takeoffs here for a while until it's time to move. Air Canada CRJ-900 blasting off. That's quite wonderful right there. And we have this beautiful Beechcraft 1900, which is a nice aircraft too. Here's an Air Canada Airbus E319 in the toothpaste livery. There's only a handful of these left, so it's really cool to catch all of them doing their various routes here out of Vancouver, and we'll get better shots here in a little bit than compared to that one. Also, Air Canada Jazz hangar there on the north side too. Here's an Air Canada Express -8 Q400. That'll be our next ride. Looking very forward to that in the toothpaste livery, and a beautiful Challenger 350 right there close up. There's that Air Canada E319 I was talking about. And again, shots like this are good. They just need some denoise help, and they'll be good to go. So absolutely loving the effort so far, and I hope all of you are enjoying so far. In Air Canada Boeing 737 MAX 8, and there's the ANA landing. Really cool buildings you can see from this side, but you just can't get very good shots of the plane. So yeah, all the taxiing shots are pretty much mitigated by how hazy it is. Pacific Coastal in all white livery with a ship on it, which is quite wonderful. They fly a real variety of routes. I'll talk about that later in the video. Here's an Air Canada Express -8. which is awesome to see so many in the toothpaste livery still. So obviously they're going to continue to fly them for a while. There's a new livery one in the back right there. There goes our toothpaste one, blasting off for one of our many destinations for Air Canada. And there goes the Pacific Coastal, all white. So yeah, definitely a wide variety so far. And there's what a helicopter looks like around Vancouver, an R-44 in that particular case. And there's a beautiful normal Beechcraft 1900C. Really cool to see that once again. Here's an Air Canada Boeing 787-9 over there. And this Gulfstream, a handful of aircraft will land over here, but typically it's private jets. So very nice to note all those right there. There's a beautiful Westjet 737 Max, or sorry, 800 rather, so that's nice. And this is right when the international wide bodies start taking off, so this Korean Air 787 is heading over to Seoul. So yeah, really cool to see the private jets. They have a wide array in the summer, and angles like this are extremely cool, so definitely excited to work with these and get them posted in the future. There's also a seaplane base right next to the airport, so here's this beautiful caravan on floats, and just overall a wide variety of aircraft. There's United E319 taking off for one of its many destinations, fly the friendly skies, and that aircraft's coming right into the ramp. And as you can see, you still can get really good shots. You just got to hit it right on the money with the wide bodies, and that's exactly what we did with that Korean Air 787, which is taking off for Seoul as stated. Hopefully I'm not talking too fast, but we're literally only like 30 minutes into the session so far, so there's just a bunch to cover. Here's an Air Canada 787-9, and really cool to catch the Flare 737 MAX 8 with the blue winglets. So I believe this was supposed to go to another carrier, a Euro white carrier that is, maybe Air Europa or equivalent, but a fall through happened, fell through the transaction that is. So Flare picked them up and just painted their tail and billboard on there, didn't even touch the winglet. So they make for really cool hybrid liveries. Sun Country did have a really cool 737-700 charter on this day, which is very cool to see a U.S. charter in Canada. So this is 713 Sierra Yankee, one of the few that they have. First time catching E2s. I believe this might be my first shot of one, which is really cool if it is. But this is a Porter E2. These are super cool airplanes. Was fortunate enough to fly KLM one, and they're just absolutely outstanding. So we'll get better shots in a moment. Delta does fly a handful of 175s to Vancouver as well. This hazy image shows one landing here, probably from Seattle or equivalent. So that's absolutely awesome right there as the pictures continue to load because there's so many of them. So that's what we love to see right there. There's another Pacific Coastal C variant with no winglets. They have just a few of those. And there's United 737 MAX, which looks awesome. There goes a Challenger, and then we have a Cessna right there, and that ends the first round of pictures. So we'll go ahead and jump into the next one. Alrighty, everybody. So our next aircraft here is this really cool Canadian registered Beechcraft. Now, I think, or King Air rather, wrong plane, sorry. I believe that it might have some sort of medical personnel, judging there by the logo, but it is really cool nevertheless. So here is that aircraft taking off here on the south runway, of course. So very nice to see that aircraft. And our next one is going to be a common face, the Air Canada Boeing 737 MAX 8. You're going to find an influx of these here at Vancouver, so cool to note that. And then we also have this Pacific Coastal Beechcraft 1900. This also looks like yet another C variant, so cool to note that. Of course, the major difference there being the cargo door here in the back instead of two doors. The initial Beechcraft variants had two doors here, but they realized really quick that that was irrelevant for only 19 people. So very nice to see that right there. So very cool shots with the mountain backdrop. And you can get some amazing shots in the winter if it is sunny. It's just tough to get there, obviously, because they only have a few sunny days in the winter a year. I don't know if it's on the screen very well, but there is some snow here on the mountain, so that's really cool. But nevertheless, back over here, we have this really cool, I think it's a King Air taxi in. Can't really see it from this vantage point, but I think I get better shots. This shot's also really cool to note all the Westjet action over there on the south side of the airport. So as you can see, a variety of 737s along a couple Q400s too. Our next aircraft is this United Airlines 737 MAX 9 that we saw earlier. This aircraft is now taking off for one of their many destinations out of Vancouver. So cool to see that. You can really see when the sun reflection comes on the aircraft, you have quite a bit of haze. So definitely worth noting that. But you can get good ones like these right here, pretty solid. I also want to note that this is their main airport hotel. I'm forgetting the name of it off the top of my head, but it has great glass windows on both sides. So it is a very luxury one. So you're not going to be going there on a budget. However, it is cool to see it in the background, some of these shots. Again, these shots can come out really good. Here's this Air Canada Max 8 and definitely some amazing sharpness for primetime haze. So very awesome to get to note that. I'm also fascinated by the parking garage here. I'm not sure if it leads to very good shots over there. I'm not sure if it's obstructed or not, but it definitely is fascinating at the very least. So cool to note that. Our next aircraft is Westjet 737-800. This aircraft is taken off for one of their many destinations out of here, of course, being one of the largest operators here at Vancouver. So cool to note that. We also have this Canadian registered prop aircraft too. And then there is Flare on their 737 MAX 8. This is what their standard livery looks like. Cool to get this model last summer to get ready for this trip, so that was fun. And a KLM Boeing 777-300ER landing over there on the north side. I will say one of the key perks about Vancouver with this 2-runway setup is it is dummy proof. You can't mess up with regards to finding aircraft where they're landing and taking off. So that is a really cool component of it. And then here is the beautiful Flare MAX 8 taking off right here. Quite a variety of low-cost destinations and quite a few in the United States too. So it's cool to see them here at Vancouver. And how about a U.S. registered NetJets Citation? I think this is a Latitude, I believe. This aircraft is slowing down here, and the private jets are the only aircraft to land on that south side. Here's a King Air right here. This is a really neat livery. And then this is one of the coolest catches that you can get here at Vancouver, the Pacific Coastal Saab 340. So they operate quite a variety of these. So check out the trip report that I made on Pacific Coastal to find out the actual distribution. But it is really sweet to see that this aircraft is going strong with the minor and some cold air to appear on the tail. So that's awesome. So anyways, this aircraft taxis in, and they have quite an array of those. Here's an Air North Boeing 737-500 that we were talking about previously. So very cool to see this aircraft going strong. I think it's quite a unique fleet that they still operate their Yukon's airlines. So that's really cool. And there's that NetJets aircraft as stated previously. Probably the best shots you can get from that observation area in the summer are these aircraft taxiing by. So definitely cool to see that. But again, it's only a handful of airplanes. However, we will get up close with one here in a moment. So mainline aircraft that is. So there goes Pacific Coastal. Very cool. And really good shots here. The Air North 737-500. One of the few in the world to still remain with winglets. I know Southwest had a few with winglets, and there might have been a few other carriers that do have the winglets. I think Continental may have had some too. But Air North's the immediate one that comes to mind for me with regards to current day 735s. I can't think of anybody else really that operates 735s, but especially on today. So anyway, next up we have this Westjet Saab 340. I recently got that model, so that's really cool. I believe this is a Pacific Coastal or another carrier's Beechcraft. I think this is a different, I think this might be a 1900D. I'm not exactly sure which variant it is, but very large fuselage there, so pretty neat to see that. But they do have some interesting liveries, so I'm pretty sure that is a PC1, but I could be wrong. A beautiful Air Canada Boeing 777-300ER coming in, and then yeah, this is taxiing over here, so I'm pretty sure it's what it was. But as you can see, it gets really close over here on the ramp. Some very neat shots that you can get for sure. British Airways does operate a handful of flights into Vancouver. Here's their Boeing 777-200 taxiing out for departure, and you can also see this Westjet Saab 340. Again, it's a really cool aircraft, and you'll be seeing more of that later on in this trip, so definitely stay tuned for that. And there's that 777-200 again. It might be a Fairmont. I think that's what it says right there for the hotel, by the way. And here's that mainline aircraft I was talking about. They're towing over a Westjet 737-700. Getting some good shots of the British Airways in the meantime. So yeah, very cool that they do tow aircraft over here. I think Westjet has a facility over here on the southeast side of the airport that they're towing to. So very cool. Also note the really interesting infrastructure there on the glass buildings here at Vancouver. And then there's, maybe you can get a little bit better view here of the snow right there. And there goes our British Airways 777-200. Again, it's a very cool aircraft. You can see them quite more than what I expected throughout the North America. You know, they fly quite a few E350s and 787s to most of these cities. However, you can find 777s at airports like New York and then obviously Vancouver, among others. So you just got to go looking for them, but you can find the BA 222. And then there's a United 737-800. This aircraft taxiing out with a wardrobe malfunction. And that Air Canada 777-300 landing there as previously assessed with haze. So we love that. Westjet 737-700, and there's another Pacific Coastal. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the D variant that I was thinking of. But this aircraft has a sailboat on the tail, and there's the United 737-800. So would love to go back, like I said, to score a winter day, but it's really challenging. But who knows? We'll see. Westjet 737-700. And there is a Lynx Air Boeing 737 MAX 8. This is now history, so very fortunate to catch a plethora of these here at Vancouver and other airports around North America. And here's the Air Canada Dash 8. This is the Express toothpaste livery, and this aircraft will be coming up in the very immediate future as it will be our next trip port. So stay on lookout for that. Also note the Air Canada CRJ 900 in the hangar. I'm sure that's not where they want it with peak summer travel, but it happens. Vancouver at the actual airport also has a seaport over there on the south side. So from the observation area, you can actually catch some of the aircraft. So I believe this is a is this a Cessna 172 on floats? I think that's what it looks like. But anyways, he's landing over there, and that's where Pacific Coast, or sorry, that's the wrong airline, Harbor Air and a couple of other carriers do operate to that operation. So cool to see that. And again, Lynx, absolute history now. So very fortunate to get some really quality shots of these guys. The last time I might have saw them was at Phoenix Sky Harbor, I believe, in February 24, but still great to get them here in their home territory, of course, and with some good light as well. So again, I am very impressed with how good the lighting was here, considering that the sun literally is pretty much directly above you during this time of year. So yeah, definitely some really cool pieces to the puzzle. Peak time probably would be the early September, late September range. That's right when the cloudy days begin. There's late September. So you can probably score a pretty good day with the sun a little bit farther back in the early September range. That would be probably the time, but definitely do some research. Air Canada -8 once again. Cool to see that. And then we continue to proceed on to our next aircraft, which will be in the next round of shots. Alrighty, everybody, let's continue with this Air Canada Express CRJ-900. You can see the company aircraft back there in the Jazz hangar, so cool to see that. You can also note the operated by Jazz sticker on these CRJ aircraft, so very nice to see these. And I haven't seen any CRJ-705s. I guess they must have got rid of those completely. A Westjet 737 MAX 8 along with this Aeromexico example, so cool to see that. Westjet -8s, Canada is definitely the place if you want to see -8s now with Alaska's retirement last year. And there's the beautiful Aeromexico, probably going to Mexico City, so very cool to see that one. Need to get a model of a MAX 9 or equivalent. This is a iSqueaky Air. I'm not sure if that's the right way to say it, but some sort of Canadian prop aircraft. So I guess they do have scheduled air service. So the south side here at Vancouver definitely has some of the most unique flights that you can do in North America. Here is the Westjet 737 MAX 8. Very nice new livery. I really like it. And the Air Canada Express aircraft as well. So that's definitely really cool to see on the 900. A helicopter, they do have several helicopters that fly in here, so you can see those very easily. And there's another Westjet old livery Q400 too. There's that flare that we talked about earlier. This is the 737 MAX 8, of course, and there's Harbor Air, as I was just talking about them a few moments ago. They do fly there, so there's their single otter. Old livery Westjet 737-800. Personally, I've grown to the new livery, so I really do like the new livery. However, the old one is perfectly fine, and a cool hybrid era right now to catch both ones. And here's the Delta Connection E175 going to Seattle or equivalent. Another Air Canada, and there goes the iSqueaky Air, or however it's said. There's that Flare MAX 8. Blue winglets are really cool. And there's another Gulfstream, and I guess that's a takeoff. That barely looked like it flared. Another very cool catch that you can get here at Vancouver is this flycma.com. This is a -8 100, I believe. Again, I'm sorry, I haven't seen one of these in a long time, but you can get some really cool shots of this taxiing in. That 100% could be profile picture material or equivalent. That is a very cool shot. So Central Mountain Air, that's the airline. I was like, CMA, no, that's wrong. Central Mountain Air has a variety of services here at Vancouver too, or at least a few, I believe. And there goes that Air Canada -8, which is very nice. So yeah, definitely worth catching those if you can. I believe some of the only -8 100s you can catch at Vancouver. Air Canada Airbus E321. Haven't seen many of these, so very cool to get this one here. And there is that same King Air that we saw previously. Continuing on, we have another Air Canada, and then there's a HeliJet helicopter, so very nice to note that one. And there's that Air Canada 321. Okay, Pacific Coastal Beechcraft 1900D, and then there goes the red one taxiing out, which it is interesting that they haven't painted some of those, but it is a complicated process, so can't blame them. FedEx Caravans is pretty much the last other type of aircraft that you can see on the south side landing, so that one landed in front of us, and there goes that red Beechcraft 1900. Off for their one of many destinations. Alaska does fly their E175s here from Seattle, so we have that. And then again, Porter, so excited to get great shots of their E2. They are really cool aircraft, and overall they're so nice. And then one of the best catches that I had on this day was hands down the Lufthansa Airlines Boeing 747-400. Very tough to get a 747-400 at this point. Lufthansa is one of the only passenger carriers remaining in the world to operate the aircraft type, especially after the pandemic, so was feeling very fortunate to capture this one. I also thought this was a really cool shot with the helicopter banking in here with their beautiful towers, so absolutely we'll have to edit those up at some point, but I did post the Lufthansa. That was cool. Here is I believe this is a medical helicopter. Very nice light along with the mountains, so that was really cool. And I also really liked this shot of two Beechcraft aircraft taxiing in, one D and one C variant, and that Lufthansa is just a beast, so very nice to catch that along with all the action that we have going on here. There's that Porter E2 once again. Just a gorgeous airplane in general, so very cool to note that one. And there's that Lufthansa 744. again, Vancouver is one of the few North American destinations that they fly to. I believe they also have sent it to Chicago a little bit, and then Newark perhaps, or JFK, one of those. So not very many places you can catch that. So it's feeling very fortunate. There's the Westjet Max 8 again. Do you think Westjet should get Max 9s? Let me know in the comments. I think it would be a helpful addition to their fleet, or maybe a Max 10. I don't know what they have orders for, so maybe they already do. But here's that Lufthansa 744. Again, what a magnificent looking, proportionally driven aircraft. It is so nice. So again, and there's the shot. I edited it as well because I had to. So that was really nice. Just a gorgeous airplane. What a man, that is so great. So really awesome to catch that. This is my first time catching one in an extremely long time. So feeling very fortunate to capture this aircraft and looking forward to seeing many more of them again in the future. So there's a handful at Frankfurt and then a handful at Munich as well. Speaking of Munich, this is the Munich flight right here on the E350-900. So very cool that they stagger it out just in time. So overall, great to see that, and very good planning from Lufthansa, one of the most wealthy airline groups in the world with all their assets. Here's a beautiful Caravan right here with the Canadian registration making its rounds. I feel like we saw one of those previously, so cool to note that. And another WestJet Max 8. That's probably one of the most common aircrafts that you're going to see at Vancouver. Here's the Pacific Coastal all-white livery. Once again, this time we have another boat on it, so very cool to see that with the water truck there. And a handful of those will land on the south side, like I mentioned earlier, but not many. Here's an Air North 737-500, this time without winglets. Very cool. And another Air Canada-8. Annapurna Airways does have a handful of flights to the Pacific Northwest region, considering the population distribution there, among other factors. And Star Alliance, of course, with Air Canada. So here's their Boeing 787-9 taxiing out with service to Toronto. We also have another Dash C for Pacific Coast. So I guess they had a few more of those than what I anticipated. So cool to note that. And again, there's the Air Canada, ANA 787-9. It is super sweet that ANA has a variety of flights. Them, and especially EVA Air. I think the EVA Air operations to the Pacific Northwest region of North America is really cool. Here's an Air Canada Airbus A320. These are also a little tough to come across, but you do find them. I don't know if you can see the Air Canada-8 right here, but it's a pretty cool asset here in the shot. But you can see this ANA for sure. Quite a beautiful aircraft. This was one of the most unique parts of life that I ever saw. I know it's not aviation related, but we have a Harbor Air Aerospace Services vehicle that is propped up with a trailer on it. I don't even know how this functions in society, but it appears to be some sort of, it appears to be for a boat, but this very well could be for aircraft. Rack here, and then the truck is backwards. So I don't know how you set that up or what the proper technique is to operate like this, but this is real. So yes, no Photoshop. Here's several pictures of it. That was quite a shocker there. So very interesting to see that during the plane spotting session. Also, the trees are just gorgeous in the Pacific Northwest, I should add. This WestJet 737-700 shot really highlights that aspect. Okay, there's the beautiful ANA 787-9. Gorgeous airplane, very cool to see it. 887 back off to Tokyo on its long flight back over there. Here's a beautiful Cessna Caravan right here on floats. Very cool to see it with the wheels. It has 4 of them, so overall very unique. And here's the Air Canada Airbus E320 blasting off for one of their many destinations out of Vancouver. There's that aircraft once again, and now we have Air Canada 787-9. This aircraft taxiing out, probably going to somewhere west here, or possibly east too. WestJet 737-700. Beautiful plane. And there's Air Canada 789 once again. Air Canada 737 MAX 8 making its rounds. And there's the 787-9 blasting off. Great looking plane, and overall it looks super nice. So let's dive into the next round of pictures. Alrighty, everybody, in the last few aircrafts here for this portion of the Vancouver spottings includes this beautiful Air Canada Boeing 787-9 shot. Really cool to capture this aircraft. Great clarity, excuse me. So that was absolutely awesome right there. And then, did we have one more? That was it for this portion of the spotting. So literally just had one more aircraft to take a look at. So I really hope all of you enjoyed this spotting video. Really awesome to dive into this perspective of Vancouver. And then in the next plane spotting video, we'll be diving into Vancouver on the north side and looking at all those arrivals. So a little tough, unfortunately, because the light was kind of right on the aircraft nose for a majority of those shots. But it was still a really cool session. You got some very unique shots. So very excited to show you all those. And I really hope all of you are excited for them. A bunch of really cool international wide bodies, along with all the narrow bodies that you can expect at Vancouver as well. So what a blast. Looking super forward to sharing that with all of you, and stay on the lookout look out for that. We'll also have a couple of other videos from Vancouver, which is really exciting, actually quite a plethora. So we'll have a video on the airport infrastructure, so we'll do a tour on that. They have a really cool mainly model aircraft store, but the correct terminology would be aviation store, and that's Flight City. So really excited to dive into that. It is a very cool facility, so looking very forward to sharing that with all of you. We'll also have a video on the Air Canada Lounge at the airport, which is really great, one of them at least. So looking very forward to the Maple Leaf Lounge. And there's also a really cool donated 1:400 scale model aircraft collection inside the Vancouver airport. So we'll do a dedicated video diving into all of that before our Air Canada -8 flight from here at Vancouver, British Columbia over to Cranbrook, British Columbia. So I really hope all of you are excited for all these videos. It's been super fun producing the Pacific Northwest content, and the trip just keeps continuing. So let's continue to live it out and see what we can find. So with all that being said, everybody, that'll do it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I want to thank each and one of you for watching. My name is Redriveraviation. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Just process. Do you love and love you do. My name is Redriveraviation. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon as Redriveraviation is signing off.